Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Rhonda Hagan, who is the mayor of Bloomfield, and we're here for a ribbon cutting brought to you by the Bardstown-Nelson County Chamber of Commerce, and it's going to be for the old Sugar Valley Country Store, which is owned by Linda Bruckheimer here in Bloomfield, right next to Nettie Jarvis. This is kind of exciting, another shop opening up.
Oh, it's very exciting to have this opportunity for something like this to come to Bloomfield. It's really nice.
So tell us a little about all the excitement that's happening here in Bloomfield today.
Well, we're expecting a lot of people to come into Bloomfield to come and see the new store. We're having the ribbon cutting today. And by the way, do you know where the name of the store came from?
No, where'd it come from?
At one time, before Prohibition, there was a distillery here in Bloomfield, and it was called the Sugar Valley Distillery.
Okay, great. So does it have a connection with history here?
Oh yes, oh yes. And that's one thing that with Linda Bruckheimer, she appreciates history. And when she renovates or whenever she does anything, she tries to preserve that history in Bloomfield here. And so it's really been an asset to have her here.
Yes, it's a great addition to your street right out here down in Bloomfield.
We just recently had a line relocation, and we put some signs up and the railing, and we try to stay with the flavor of Bloomfield.
Now, I also know you have the chalkboard that's down at the corner here where people are getting an opportunity to write what they hope to do before they die, right?
Yes, they just unveiled that on Monday.
And you've added your list to that too, right?
Yes, I did.
And what was it?
My first one, of course, we'll be adding more as they change the board, but my first one was to write a book.
Okay, do you have an idea for that book?
Maybe a type of memoir, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
my experience as the mayor in Bloomfield would be included in that. So.
That's great. Now we're also across the street from the meeting hall, and that meeting hall over there is fantastic.
Oh, it's awesome, and it's also, it's a place where you can have receptions and things like that. But like I said, with Linda, she tries to keep things in the setting of that era, and it has the original skating rink over there, the bowling alley, and she's kept a lot of things in the style that it was when it was first opened.
I'm here with Angela Carell, who is the author of Grounded, and is going to have a book signing here at Nettie Jarvis and the old Sugar Valley Country Store for the grand opening here in Bloomfield. Tell us a little about your book.
Well, my book is set here in Kentucky, and it's about a flight attendant actually from New York City who ends up losing her job and has to move back to the farm and live with her grandmother.
So it's set here in Kentucky?
It's set here in Kentucky. There's a lot of gardening and sustainable farming that kind of runs through the book. It's a story about two women of different generations trying to find common ground, and there's a little bit of a mystery and a romance as well.
Okay, now this is your first novel?
It's my first novel, yes.
So what gave you this idea, and how did you get started?
Well, I moved back to the farm after living in Lexington for a long time and then traveling all over the United States. And I just really started thinking about the differences between living in the city and living on the farm. And it kind of made me think about what if a woman is forced to do that and really doesn't want to be there.
But you wanted to be there.
I did want to be there, but there were some adjustments.
Yes,
so.
Yes. How long did it take you to write the book?
Well, it took me a long time because really I had to learn how to write fiction, and I had to learn how to put a story together and the plotting and pacing and character development. So really, I would almost say 10 years, just the learning process, but actually writing the manuscript was about 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're working on some others?
I do. I have a sequel to this book in mind, and that's kind of what I want to work on after I stop the book signings for this book. But right now I'm having fun promoting this one.
That's fun. Great. And it's called Grounded, and again, it's Angela Carell, and we're at the old Sugar Valley Country Store in Nettie Jarvis. They're going to have them for sale here?
That's right. They'll be for sale here, and I'll be glad to sign the books as well.
Fantastic. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm here now with Dixie Hibbs, who is another one of the authors having a book signing here, and this book is called Before Prohibition, Distilleries in Nelson County, Kentucky, 1880 to 1920.
Prohibition came along in 1920.
Right.
That's what we call this. I was able to take a series of old maps from 1886 to 1910 and of the distilleries that were operating in Nelson County. We had over 27 distilleries in Nelson County and right along the edge in LaRue County and Bullitt. And I found maps that showed what they looked like in 1886 and 89, 90, and printed those, and then I have a contrast with a 1910 map that shows how much they grew in that time period.
Oh, wow.
And a little bit of history about the different distillers, the people, their brands. the man who wrote the history wrote it in 1896. So he had contact with the living people, the people then that actually were the distillers and all. And I was able to gather pictures and maps to illustrate this. And the maps are what make this particular book unique, because they've never been printed like this before.
And again, this is before Prohibition, so Prohibition had a big impact on the story.
It was like being shot in the leg, both legs and both arms. The distilling industry had to come to a halt. It could not produce nor sell. There were certain instances where the American Medicinal Spirits Company bought whiskey that was already made in the warehouses, but most of the warehouses in Nelson County were full of whiskey they couldn't sell. And we had such hot weather during that time, all that whiskey evaporated. When they went in 1933 to find what was still in the warehouses, most of them were empty. Of course, you know where that evaporated whiskey went.
Angel Share?
Chicago, Cincinnati, Louisville, and all of those places where the liberated whiskey is what happened there, yes, on that.
Well, that's amazing.
Oh, great. Well, I'm working on some other books, but this was kind of an off-the-wall one we did without, I did it in about 3 months, and I was very pleased with it, and published over New Hope with St. Martin de Porres publishing house there, so it works very well for me.
Super. Well, thank you very much.
See you.